There to have them.
I'm a brokerage. We operate on. We don't sell sneakers out of the back of the office. We broker deals.
There to.
So really important if you're working with remote clients. A lot of agents don't think about this because they just get leads, and every lead says, can you send me some photos and video? And what do? They go running out of the office, start taking videos and start sending photos. And a lot of the time, they don't even hear back from these people, and they've wasted their time. I call that working for leads. And I teach agents that they only need to work for their clients. And what separates a lead from a client is a meeting and an actual consultation where you've sat down and spoken with somebody. I prefer to do mine in person, but if somebody can't be here, I do it on a video call, a FaceTime or a Zoom or a Google Meet, and they usually take 15 to 20 minutes. You know, I've done some that take 5 or 6 minutes, depending on the person, especially if they're like a New Yorker, they're right to the point. But at the end of the day, my goal is to get inside of their mind and understand what they envision for an apartment. And then when we actually do the tours, I let them know that we'll be sending them videos and photos, but I ask that at each apartment that we stop at, that they're available for a live call. And the reason is they need to be a little inconvenienced by seeing the apartments. They have to actually feel like they're going out of their way to see apartments. Because if you just send somebody photos and videos, it doesn't actually count as a showing. Whereas if somebody's in person and they look at 3 or 4 places that just don't really work and they see something that like is acceptable, they'll usually take it. And most of the time, acceptable is like a dream option because it's a very expensive market here in New York City. And, you know, people's expectations are usually way out of line with reality. So if you show somebody a handful of options and you show some that is acceptable for them, they'll usually take it. But if somebody's remote, because they're not actually going out of their way, they're not actually spending time on showings, you're just sending them photos and videos, it's the same as when they flip through Zillow or listings on Craigslist or Facebook. They're not actually expending any time. So somebody can look at 120 listings that just don't work and pass them and not feel like they've even gotten started in the search. Whereas if somebody's remote and you have them take the time to be on the phone with you for 90 seconds in a video call where you show them around the apartment, and you can then show them the hallways and the common space. You can even show them the street if they want to see more. They'll actually feel a little like they're doing the search as well. And psychologically, that's enough it's almost like being here. And I always tell agents, always take an actual video and photos, either before or after the live tour, because you need to be able to send it to them as a recap so they remember. And I know everybody thinks they'll remember. Nobody does. You gotta actually be able to send them something after in an email so they can match it up. But the point is, if you're working with somebody remotely, treat them as if they were here and make sure that they're spending time when you're spending time for them. If somebody's your client, you're working together for them. You're not just running around blindly sending them photos and videos. A photographer could do that. You wouldn't need a real estate license to do that. You are licensed to sell, and you need to be selling, and that involves understanding psychology and how people come to make decisions.